So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Samsung Galaxy Fold first impressions video. Now, I decided against doing an unboxing because it's kind of like there's a ton of those out there. I kind of just want to give you my first take on this phone. And I know that I said I was not going to get this in some prior content, but after seeing this in the Best Buy, actually holding it hands on, I've been waiting to see one. I couldn't find one in my local store. Once I seen one, it's one of those things where you're just like, you gotta have it. It was one of those. So definitely had to pick this one up, and I was more excited to share it with you guys rather than, experience it for myself. So that's where this video comes from. So let's go ahead and open it up, and you can see that beautiful foldable OLED dynamic AMOLED display. And we're going to talk about pretty much everything this entails, as it's a very different product category. As you can see, it does fold in half, that flexible OLED, and it does have a hinge here to do that technology up. Now, you can see it's a pretty tall phone here. So some people say it looks kind of like a remote, and some people might like this very narrow style display here where you can actually reach across very easily on the front display. Not unboxing it, but we are going to take a look at some of the contents of the box. You could see that Galaxy Fold here, and then on the back it will tell you what comes in here. It's an unlocked model here, and you can see I already opened this thing up, but I wanted to show you because there is some warnings inside this box for the Samsung Galaxy Fold. So the box does open on a sideways angle right here, and as you can see right there, it does say that Galaxy Fold right there. And if we go ahead and open this up, you can see we are presented with a white box, and in this white box there is like a little pull tab right here, and this is where the Galaxy Fold was housed in its open position. And you can see that there is some care instructions for this phone. It says, do not press on this phone too hard or with sharp objects such as a pen, a fingernail, or apply excessive pressure. This is because you have a plastic display which can easily get damaged. Next one, when folding the device, do not place any objects such as cards, coins, or keys on the screen. Again, you can demagnetize your cards here because there is magnets in this phone, so you don't want to do that. The device is not water or dust resistant, so keep this one away from the sand, the beaches, keep this one away from the shower, and keep it in your pocket when you are in rain. You don't want to get this one wet, as it's not as rugged as say like a Note or an S10. So the next one is, do not attach any adhesives such as films or stickers to the main screen or top protective layer. So you don't want to put screen protectors and things like that on here. And the last one is, your device may be affected by magnets, so keep a safe distance between things like credit cards or implantable medical devices. So you probably don't want to get this one near the surgery room. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to show you in the box. And then you can see, you've probably seen this before if you watched any other videos, but you do have the AKG headphones in here. It does come with a fast charger as well as a cable to, use the old USB, do some transferring. And also in here, we do have some different tips for the Galaxy Buds. So you can definitely switch that out when using them. Now, one neat thing is that it did come with the black Galaxy Buds. I got the Cosmos Black Galaxy Fold. Now, one thing that is neat about this Galaxy Fold is that it did come with the black AKG Samsung Galaxy Buds, so very good look there. It does give it a sophisticated feel, and I gotta tell you, it's a little bit strange, but this box smelled so premium, like very like new car smell. A lot of phones smell like that, but it just really had this really strong smell, kind of like a brand new car interior. So definitely you notice that you paid the big bucks for this phone. And inside of here, there was some, warranty guides, and it also came with this case that goes with the phone. It's like a little carbon fiber thin snap-on case to protect the front and the back, but this is not ultra protective, and there's not a lot of case selection for this phone. So you need to really handle the Galaxy Fold with extreme care, at least until more ultra armor type cases come out for this phone. Okay guys, so getting started with the Galaxy Fold. The first impressions I have of this phone is just wow. Wow and wow. I mean, it's been years since a phone put a smile on my face like this one, and it's not due to some of its shortcomings. It's easy to bash, oh, that little tiny screen on the front, or all of the Fold shortcomings, but it's just the level of innovation, the boldness of Samsung to put out something on the market like this. I really do appreciate this. If I was the CEO of Samsung or Apple or a company, I would be pushing the boundaries and putting things out like this as well. So I'm totally on board with stuff like this. Now, this might not catch on, it may or may not, but to take a chance like this is what you need. You need to pioneer new products if you do want to see a new product category invented. Now, the hardware itself is pretty heavy, so 276 grams, but it does give it a substantial feel. One thing you're gonna notice is how thick this phone is, though, especially when it is folded into the candy bar style. I mean, this phone is over 15 millimeters thick, so it's like two phones in one when it is closed. However, because it's so narrow, I think it's still pretty manageable on the day-to-day. If it was a wide phone, this would be a no-go automatically. The bezels are also quite huge on the front, and I do believe Samsung on their next models need to improve this, and they should improve this for their next models, but I think there was just a limit with the technology available at this time. Now, I will say that the hinge seems very sturdy here for the Galaxy Fold, and I really like this engraved Samsung logo. It's a little bit shiny with different lights. It just feels super premium. But yeah, the hinge feels very well constructed here. Now, one thing I am a little bit concerned about with the Fold is this little gap. I can kind of see through it a little bit. Dust and things getting in there. I will keep an eye on that over my usage. I'm going to be using this phone quite a bit to see if things do seep in there. But this is the redesigned model where they did add the plastic pieces to try to keep that out. But I hope it doesn't become an issue. Now, I do like the vertical triple camera. It's placed off to the left, looks pretty clean. You do have a flash right there. On the right side of this phone, my impressions are, I don't know why there's a power button. We should just have an integrated button within the fingerprint sensor, but we do have ourselves the volume rocker, and there is the SIM card tray. A piece up here for listening to phone calls, and you need to use this in this position to make phone calls, or else you're gonna have to use a speakerphone if it is folded open. Not that you wouldn't want to talk with it folded open anyway. So you can see right here, we do have a stereo speaker, and then there's also one up here, microphone hole, and a USB-C. Definitely the future. We definitely want USB-C on our phones, another microphone hole there. Antenna slits on both sides, and overall, just a classy looking first attempt, I think. It's not the best, but it still feels like your typical modern high-end Samsung device. So let's go ahead and use that fingerprint sensor, which is very similar to the one on the S10e and works fantastic. And let's flip this thing open and discuss the inside a little bit. So you can see that Samsung did add these plastic pieces to try to keep like dust and things like that out of there. I will see how this does perform over time. You could see one up there as well. And there is a little notch, but I will talk about how this doesn't really get in the way at all of the experience. It really doesn't protrude that much throughout your day-to-day. Now, there's great lighting in my studio right here, so you will see a ton of crease action going on right there. But I assure you that you don't really notice this too much, especially when you're looking at this phone straight on. You can even see it in the video straight on. We don't really even see it. It's when you put this phone on an angle, and you also will notice it a little bit throughout the day, like when you're outside, if you have this thing open, the sun shining on it, the crease does show a little bit. But again, for everything you're getting, I'll deal with the crease for now on this phone. And I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, as it's a flexible plastic display. I mean, you're going to have a crease there. Now, the bezels that go around it aren't too bad here. They're a little bit thick, and it's a little bit strange because like a lot of phones, you'll have like the display up to the top. With this one, the display sits underneath the bezels here. So it's kind of like under there being protected by these bezels. So what that means is that on the day-to-day, I'm noticing a little bit, I've only had it a couple days, but I'm noticing it like little dust can get inside a lot in here. So you constantly have to clean this panel when using the Galaxy Fold here. But it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for everything you do get, a 7.3-inch dynamic AMOLED panel. Keep in mind, when the Fold is open, it's a very thin device. It only sits at 6.9 millimeters when folded open. So it's actually thinner than a lot of smartphones when it's in this position right here, so you don't have to worry about it there. And what I really like about this phone is that it feels like a mini tablet. Like there's no need for an iPad mini for me anymore with this type of device. This is a pretty great size for a mini tablet. It's similar to like a Kindle Fire size, but just in a different aspect ratio, and similar to like I say, an iPad mini, maybe a slightly smaller, but still it's very good. And that main display surprisingly has a lower pixels per inch than the front display at 362 ppi. The front display is only 4.6 inches on this phone, but it's an OLED panel, so it's actually quite good. And if you're wondering, does it work? Yes, pretty much all the applications work. You can operate this just like any other phone, but because of its aspect ratio on the front, 21:9, it's very long and it kind of feels like the size of, say, an iPhone 4S, like that size. It's pretty small, maybe in between that and an iPhone 7. It's a very small display, and you can't change the icons. So you see I got 3 across this 3x3 grid. We really don't have this ability to change smaller icons unless we put on something like Nova Launcher or something like that. But only a 720p on the front doesn't really matter because it's still very sharp at 399 ppi. But again, it's a little bit cramped and I would like to see this a little bit stretched out. As you can see right here, just how small the keys are. It's pretty easy to make a mistake on this keyboard, especially the Samsung keyboard, as it has some very aggressive autocorrecting that isn't always correct. But I do like that at least it's not a curved panel, at least it is a flat panel, but there is ways around this. You can just use the Gboard on this phone if you're not filling the Samsung keyboard for this device. But I think a lot of people have the wrong opinion in thinking that, you know, this is somehow should be much larger, and that's not really the point of this device and this front display. The point of this display is to just be a quick glance, to do some quick information when you're on the go and stuff like that. And when you really want to use the phone like a phone, you open up the main display and you have all of the screen real estate. So do remember that when thinking about the Fold's smaller front display. Talking about the basics, like just brightness, vividness. I mean, this is OLED, so it's still got that same great brightness, great contrast you're used to from Samsung phones. If we go here, you can see we got the vivid modes, the natural modes. You got all that stuff you're really used to. You also have the ability to have the navigation bar here on this phone, or you can have it off. Now, if we go into these settings, you could center the button position, or you could put it off to the right here for the Fold, or you could put it off to the left, whatever feels good for you. For me, I like the gestures, so I do just take it off and I enjoy that full expansive screen. So when watching video here for the Galaxy Fold, you can see that in YouTube, we do get black bars and the notch does get a little bit in the way, but for all that screen real estate, I'm never even looking over there. But for now, you get the 16:9, you really can't pinch to zoom. But again, it's still very enjoyable to watch media on here, and it looks massive, even though what you're holding is not really massive. It's a very light device, but you still have a massive screen display. So very comfortable to just hold it like this and watch video on it. Now, I will say that when you are in something like Netflix and you're watching a movie, it does expand all the way. So going into Netflix is a great experience. So if you're watching anything here, it will expand the full display, and even this part gets cut out, so it's just a full screen experience. Also, another great usage of this display is if you are reading a book, for example. It's very wide and very great for reading Kindle books and stuff like this. You'll absolutely love this for the Galaxy Fold because, you know, a lot of displays are narrow and it doesn't really give you that book feel. This is as wide as a book page, so I do really like this. And when in the browser, I will say that scrolling and everything is smooth. Also, one thing, if you are using this in the landscape mode, if you do scroll past the crease, you will feel the crease here. That's just something that you will feel on this phone. And I also think that Samsung should have made the DPI similar to like a tablet. It still feels kind of like a phone here, unless you do just like you would on a phone and put this in the desktop version. I think Samsung should have made this more like the tablet setup here on the inside display. So you don't really get too much more content displayed unless you put it in desktop version, or you go into your developer options and raise the DPI number so you can get more screen space. So that's something to keep in mind. And also, when you are here in the landscape mode, there is a little bit black bar right here that comes in your applications that do block off the notch, so you can really enjoy in most applications. You can see it right there, kind of blocked off this part of the display. But still, if this was not here, it would be a little bit more of a display. But for this being a first attempt, I really do like it. And the last thing you want to note about this display is playing games. It's just going to be fantastic. I mean, it's just so much space to play your games, and this is no chump when it comes to the performance. We have a Snapdragon 855 7nm chipset in here. You also do have 12 gigabytes of RAM and an Adreno 640 with 512 gigs of storage. So this is packing the stuff. It's similar to the S10 Plus, Note 10 Plus in terms of specs, and that's plenty enough. Those phones are boss performers, and this one is as well. So there's no lag on the Galaxy Fold, as you would expect for a phone for $2,000. Another amazing thing you can do with this display is you can do triple screen multitasking, or 3 different applications at once. So I can put the internet there, and if I really want to bring in something else like Samsung Notes, for example, I can bring in Samsung Notes. I can resize these sideways, and this has been one of the best multitasking experiences I've ever seen on a phone. So let's go ahead and bring back in the browser, and let's go ahead and put it in landscape mode, and you can see I can bring this over a little bit, and look how much space you have here to multitask. And keep in mind, this is not just that type of multitasking. You still have your traditional pop view windows like you can do in the other, phones. So you can still move these around and stuff like that. And so, yeah, you can definitely take advantage of this massive screen. So having all these features makes this phone even more amazing. It would be pretty disappointing if all you can do is open up applications and use it like it doesn't have multitasking features. That would be really boring here for the Galaxy Fold. Now, when typing here on the main display, hey, what is up? In portrait mode, it's very comfortable. Easy to thumb type on here. And one thing I will say is that if you go into landscape, if you have smaller hands, it might be a little bit hard to type, but for me, it's no problem. You can also split the Samsung keyboard just like so. But if you don't want to use Samsung keyboard, of course, you got third-party options like I mentioned earlier, the Gboard, which could be very accurate and maybe more accurate for some people. So you do have that option if you want it here for the Samsung device. And also both the Samsung keyboard and the Gboard do support swipe texting, so that's pretty awesome. And with the Gboard, you can actually make the size a little bit taller and smaller if you don't like the size of the Samsung keyboard for the Galaxy Fold. So keep that in mind. There's many ways to type on this device, but again, that front display here for the Galaxy Fold is a little bit small for typing. So I just wanted to cover the storage just a bit here. You can see 456 gigs available. I did use 55 gigs already, so there's plenty of space. There's no expandable memory, which is kind of unfortunate considering Samsung throws this in a lot of their premium phones. I wish it was here, but no expandable memory here. And again, no headphone jack here for this phone. That's why you get Galaxy Buds in the box. And I'm sure you already have Bluetooth headphones as well. Now that camera on the back, we're going to talk about that in a second. You can see it's a little bit of a bump. So even with this case, it's a little bit exposed. Be careful, you don't want to scratch that camera up. And talking about the camera itself, this viewfinder is absolutely massive on this phone. And I find that it can be a little bit awkward to use sometimes. You might want to pull the shutter key out here for the Galaxy Fold, bring it down so you can take a photo, as it's just a little bit strange to take a photo of here, but you will get used to it. You can also use the front display to go ahead and use the camera on the Galaxy Fold. So just double click right there. And this might be a lot more portable and more discreet, easier to use for just taking some quick photos. And again, you do have the triple camera setup that comes with Galaxy S10, Galaxy Note 10, those type of cameras. So very good sensors here. And they do shoot in telephoto as well. They do 4K 60. They also have live focus video, super slow-mo, slow motion, hyperlapse. So you got all your top-notch camera features here, even the pro mode on the Galaxy Fold. So you don't got to worry about getting excellent phone camera quality. You're going to get it here for the Galaxy Fold. When going into settings, you're loaded with more features in here. And I also took some photos to kind of show you what we do get for the Galaxy Fold. So here's a picture right here. You can see pretty good color, pretty good detail. And here's another one. I was out at the restaurant yesterday and you could just see this was a telephoto shot, and you can see just very good stuff here, very good detail across the board. And viewing this content is ultra fun. I mean, look at how much space you have to view your photos. It's just super fun to do this here, viewing videos, viewing photos, just like a tablet. You know, when you want more screen space, you go to a tablet, and you have it here for the Galaxy Fold. So yes, excellent cameras on board here. We don't got to discuss them too much further. I would say that the only difference is that the viewfinder is a very big difference from using a regular phone because the display is so much larger. But if you want to just go to the front display, then you have a much smaller viewfinder to take a photo. Brings me on to the battery of the Galaxy Fold. Now, first of all, this phone has a dual battery system in it, and it's over 4,300 milliamp hours. So yeah, getting fantastic battery life. I can easily get through the day with the Galaxy Fold, and that's great because you don't want a phone at this price, $2,000, and you can't even get through a day with battery life. Also, wireless charging is supported on here. Reverse wireless charging is also on board. You could charge other people's phones with your Fold, and you also have extremely fast charging as well if you just decide to go with a fast charging cable. This phone charges very quickly, so very happy with the battery performance. My screen on time so far around 6 hours or some change, and also getting very fast charging. So I don't have an issue with the battery life. There's just no issue whether I'm playing video games, browsing the web, in landscape mode, in portrait mode, in the front display, in the back display. The phone lasts. That's just all there is to it. Now, discussing the audio experience, we do have the Dolby Atmos feature on here with the stereo speakers. And I will mention that if you are holding the phone this way with a notch on your left-hand top corner, you definitely want to flip it over because you will be covering those speakers. Also, I don't really like it in the other form either because that front display, you're constantly touching that front display if you have it the other direction. So the notch here down on the right side, I think is the ideal position to hold this in this mode. So let's go ahead and play. Let's raise the volume. For the Note 10 unlocked yet, but some Note 10 users already have it. All right. So if I cover this side, you'll see it's still here coming out. Now it's covered. So I already have it loaded up here. You can see Android 10, and this is the One UI 2.0. So you can move these guys around. And speaking of One UI 2.0, the software support for the Galaxy Fold is a little bit slower than the more premium mainstream phones. It makes sense because why would Samsung want to focus on a phone that's very niche right now first? So the software is going to come the 2.0, but it's just going to be later because they got to get it out to more customers. The people that have more phones like the Galaxy S10, the Note 10, those are sold much more higher volumes than this phone. So yeah, the audio experience you heard was good. You just want to make sure you have it in the right position so you're not covering those stereo speakers. I will mention one thing too before we go is that you kind of got to snap the Galaxy Fold close once you get it down here. It doesn't fully close, but it is a very satisfying close. It feels very well constructed. And let me talk about phone call quality. It's been fantastic. Great call quality and great reception on this phone. This is the LTE model. They also have a 5G model of this device, but have no issues with phone calls. Again, if you do make a phone call here with the screen open, you need to use the speaker, or you can just close it up and make a phone call, and that's been great. So in conclusion, the Samsung Galaxy Fold, man, this phone makes me so excited. I could not wait to share this video with you guys. I have seen the Jerry Rig Everything test where he did, scratch up the display and stuff, and it is not very promising. It didn't look very good in durability, but I think as long as you baby this phone, you got your own rag, you clean it up every day, you put it in a case, at least use the one included for now until you get your own third-party case. Make sure that third-party case is supported. I think if you baby this phone, you'll be fine. I think it's something you don't really want to do when you pay this kind of money, is baby a phone. But at the same time, if you're paying this kind of money, why not take care of your investment? And I think if you do that, you'll be fine with the Galaxy Fold in terms of its durability. I think that's a very big question mark for this phone. In terms of its usability though, I would say that it's almost there. I mean, there's a few things. It could get a little bit thinner here, Samsung. Also, we can increase this front display size. And also I think that we could try to get maybe the punch hole display on the front, reduce that notch a little bit down. And we have basically a great option in the foldable phones, and I really do applaud Samsung for bringing something like this out. I'm much more interested in this type of folding phone than say a flip folding phone, because with this one, at least you have the functionality of a smaller phone on the front and a tablet. Those other ones are more just like a regular phone that's gonna flip. I think this is more useful, especially because of all the multitasking things you can do. And when you're paying this kind of money, the Fold is feature packed. And since we have this case on, I will just mention one thing if you have any questions about it. It does trap a little bit of dust here on the inside screen. All the corners where there is openings, it seems to get a little bit more dust than other cases I've used, but it does provide a little bit of grip to the phone and definitely some protection when placing it down. That's it for me, Galaxy Fold impressions. I will continue to use this phone and give a full review on this device. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on the Fold. I didn't make this video to try to convince you to buy one. I know most people aren't gonna buy one. I just wanted to share it with you guys because I'm in a position to go ahead and review something like this. And I think being in a position to review something like this for people who are very interested in technology on this channel, I just couldn't pass it up when I actually held this thing in hand. So thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Thank you all for your support, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Have a happy new year. Be sure to be well, and peace.